All right, let's get into it. Today we're diving into one of the great epics of medieval Bengal, the Manasa Mangal Kavya. And this is a seriously powerful story, all about a bitter clash of wills between a defiant merchant and a pretty desperate goddess.
So let's jump right in, because this tale has gods and magic all over the place, but at its heart, it's really a story about the unyielding power of the human spirit. Pride, faith, and a love that literally refuses to accept death itself.
So, where does our story begin? Well, it's not on Earth, but up in the heavens, with the, let's say, very unusual birth of a new goddess who is absolutely desperate for recognition and worship from mortals.
Okay, so Manasa's origin was anything but conventional. She was born from Shiva's mind, or Manas, but she's actually crafted by the mother of the serpent king. Right from the start, this marks her as a total outsider. She's a goddess rooted in ancient folk traditions, which you have to remember were incredibly powerful in a place like Bengal where snakes were both feared and revered. The bottom line is she wasn't part of the established high society pantheon. And that unique background, it's absolutely key to understanding her whole struggle.
So when Shiva brings her home, his wife, the goddess Chandi, just sees her as a rival, and in a fit of absolute rage, she blinds Manasa in one eye. Can you imagine? This rejection, this humiliation, it just fuels Manasa's determination. She makes a vow, right then and there, that she will establish her own following among mortals, to prove her power and force the entire world to acknowledge her. To achieve her goal, Manasa doesn't exactly start small. Nope. She targets the most powerful, the most influential, and the most incredibly stubborn man in all of Bengal, the great merchant Chand Saudagar.
And this, right here, gets to the absolute heart of the conflict. This isn't just about one guy's stubbornness. It's a clash between a rising, powerful folk belief, which is Manasa, and the rigid, established religious order embodied by this staunch Shiva devotee, Chand. I mean, this was a real tension in the culture back then, this constant push and pull between the local, earthbound deities and the high gods from the official texts.
And you gotta hear how Chand refuses. It wasn't just a simple no, it was absolute. It was filled with scorn and just total disrespect for this new goddess he saw as, illegitimate. This complete and utter rejection, well, it set the stage for a tragic and incredibly brutal confrontation.
So, how does Manasa respond to his defiance? She unleashes her divine fury. She systematically destroys everything Chand holds dear. She sends venomous snakes to kill 6 of his 7 sons, one by one. Then she conjures a storm to sink his entire trading fleet, his whole fortune, gone. And yet, even after losing almost his entire family and all his money, the merchant's iron will does not break.
So, this brings us to the next chapter, where Chand makes one last, desperate attempt to protect the little he has left, his final son, Lakhindar. As Lakhindar's wedding day gets closer, a horrifying prophecy is revealed, and Chand knows immediately. He recognizes this is Manasa's final cruel move to break him. See, it's not just a battle of wills anymore. Now it's a direct challenge from fate itself.
So, what do you do when destiny itself is against you? Well, to defy this divine prophecy, Chand decides he's going to build a fortress against the gods. He commissions a structure so perfect, so impenetrable, that he's convinced it can shield his son from any supernatural threat.
And we're not talking about just any room. This thing was a hermetically sealed chamber, made entirely of iron, built by the finest craftsmen money could buy. Chand truly believed that he could beat Manasa's divine power with the absolute peak of human technology and skill. But Manasa's will was stronger. Whether it was divine trickery or just a simple human mistake, a single, minuscule hole was left in the iron wall. A hole no bigger than a needle's eye, and through that tiny opening, she sent her deadliest serpent, Kalnagani. The snake slithered in, it bit Lakhindar, and just like that, the prophecy was fulfilled. With Lakhindar dead, it seems like all of Chand's defiance has led to nothing but complete ruin. But this is the exact moment where our true hero emerges from the tragedy, his son's young bride, Behula. And this is just an incredible shift in the story. It completely transforms from a tale about pride and defiance into one about unconquerable love and pure, raw determination. Behula refuses to let her husband be cremated. Instead, she places his body on a raft and sets off down the river, vowing that she is going to bring him back from the dead.
Her journey, which is known as the Basan, was just a grueling, unimaginable test of her devotion. I mean, for months, she floated on that raft, protecting her husband's decaying body from wild animals, getting through storms, and fending off wicked men who tried to take advantage of her. And through all of it, her resolve, it never wavered. Not once.
So, after completing this seemingly impossible journey, Behula finally arrives in the realm of the gods. And here she gets one single chance to plead her case before the entire divine court.
But she doesn't just use words. No, instead, she performs a dance. And this dance is so profound, so emotionally raw, that it tells the entire story of her love, her loss, and her unbelievable sacrifice. They say the performance was so moving that even Shiva, the great god himself, was brought to tears.
Her display of pure, unwavering devotion earns her a complete and total victory. The gods agree to reverse everything Manasa did. They'll restore not only Lakhindar's life, but also the lives of his 6 brothers and bring back all of Chandra's sunken fortune. But it all came with one crucial catch.
You see, for any of this to stick, for Behula's victory to be complete, the one man who started this whole mess, Chand Saudagar, must finally agree to worship the goddess Manasa. So, back in Shapaknagar, surrounded by his miraculously resurrected family and his restored wealth, the proud merchant finally caves, but he does it on his own terms. He agrees to worship Manasa, but he offers her flowers with his left hand, which traditionally is a sign of disrespect, or maybe, at best, really reluctant respect.
And Manasa accepted it. Why? Because her ultimate goal was finally achieved. The proudest, most defiant man on earth had at last acknowledged her power. This symbolic act, it represents this fascinating compromise that actually mirrors a real historical process, the way powerful, local folk deities were absorbed into the wider, mainstream religious world.
And the enduring power of this incredible story lies right there, in that very question. It leaves us to think about the complicated nature of faith, the limits of defiance, and the boundless, world-altering power of love. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.